I had a list of things I wanted. This is the second day in a row I've had a list,
Which
and I
is
lost
a shame because you're so organized most of the time.
Yeah, no, man. It really is out there.
I like that every time I come in, like Seth gets a little bit saucier.
Catty, yeah.
Just a little more like.
Yeah.
We're more familiar now.
Next time we'll have somebody new. Again, you are asking a question that you've answered 1,000 times already. Nobody is mad at him. Who do you see that's mad at him? You see people responding like, all the Matt Rife hate. There's no Matt Rife hate.
I've seen some snarky Facebook posts.
Of course, because
but
he's
it's all
famous.
like it's right. But it's like what did this kid do wrong? I mean,
let's find some stuff.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying?
I mean, I don't know. That's the question. Like,
I'm starting to be like, there's so much love for him. It makes me go like, all right, calm down, guys. This is still a comic that's been doing comedy 7 years, so
it's
he's
just
still
funny
not
because
as good as he should be. Yeah.
Like you want to like
He's
it's
better
the
than he
best
should be. He's not as
example
good
of
as he
proof that
can be.
racism exists in America.
Do what?
He's the best proof that racism is like a powerful thing in America.
Why?
Because like Ryan Davis had so much more early like in viral success in terms of numbers.
I don't know.
He did.
That.
Like Ryan's videos were pulling on. He was averaging, like if he put up a video that didn't get at least 1 million views, and he was pushing like 12, 15 million views on video after video after video. And nobody came to him with a contract for like apparently what like Rife got, like this tour stuff. Like Ryan still kind of had to do it himself a bit.
Well, Ryan maybe does he think that's racism? That's interesting.
I mean, maybe.
I think
it's very strange that like a good-looking white kid gets this internet pop and has some level of skill as a comic, apparently not great but not bad, versus somebody that had some level of skill as a comic, not great but not bad. Like, and one of them got. I mean, like
I've seen Matt live remember when I did that recording for the same guy where I went down there and I was like, oh, I'm gonna record. He was recording different shows that he wanted to sell. And I saw Rife do a couple sets, and I was literally taken aback. I was like, oh, wow, that fucking kid's funny.
Yeah.
Like, because I'd seen him when he first came to Atlanta, that one of those first shows, and I was like, what are you talking about, Gary?
Yeah.
It's
amazing what you do 9 sets a week for a few months. You can really polish some shit up.
Yeah, you're the Beatles, right? That's what, you know. But, so yes, he is like TikTok is the only one I guess that really knows their algorithms and their number, but they're the ones.
I love
that
the way you say algorithms.
Right. Well, yes.
Like an umlaut in it. Algorithm, yeah. Sorry.
Yeah. Gary was telling me that TikTok executives came in to some meeting with Live Nation and was like, "This is the #1 comedian in the world on TikTok." He's the #1. And so I think that had a lot to do with his sales. But in the last 2 years, he's made a special that he sort of crowdfunded himself. And then he turned that one into another one that he crowdfunded himself. That you make money if people are buying your stuff.
Yeah, I mean, he's pulling, what did he have, like 8.5, 9 million views for a special on YouTube?
Yeah, I don't know those numbers. I just know I see him on TikTok.
Like I didn't watch it. I looked him up enough to I looked to see, okay, he's got a special. It's got about 9 million views. I didn't even see the TikTok numbers, but I saw how many Facebook people he's got. And like Facebook's the only thing that makes Facebook is because it's shared, you can see whether or not people are liking it and passing it around. Okay. Where the algorithm controls everything on TikTok, the algorithm controls everything.
Is he saying algorithm right?
He's saying algorithm normally,
okay.
yes.
Yeah. Where but
11 million views.
But like YouTube and TikTok's algorithms control what shows up on your screen. Where with Facebook, to some extent, it's actually people sharing it.
Okay.
So to me, that's usually a better indicator of whether or not it's good, but whether or not it's something that people are actually really getting into. Because like you have to actively share it on Facebook versus where it's all about like seconds watched and that kind of stuff on.
Do you think it's a race thing or do you think it's a woman thing? Like it's not.
No,
he's
a good looking. It's not just a race thing. He's a good looking white kid.
Yeah, in my generation, he would have been a little too white. You know what I mean? Like he didn't have enough. He doesn't have enough. But because of Twilight and all that, that vampire look is this thing, man.
Yeah, that was it.
But that's like the, you know.
That was it. What? That was the clip.
Yeah.
Do you remember how much shit Jay Moore got back in the day because he was a
for stealing other people's jokes,
handsome
Jay Moore,
dude?
or not? Jay.
Yeah.
Okay.
But he was a relatively not a great looking guy, but for a comic, he was too handsome, and so like Louis C.K. was shitting on him,
Really?
like Nick DiPaolo was shitting all over him, like
Gary Goldman.
Yeah. I mean, like any of the because like he's too like this isn't for him was like a big thing because he's too good looking. Like so the bitterness and the like infighting and the backstabbing stuff isn't new.
Right. But I see no one complaining about him. So I you know, I'm starting to see him so much that I might start complaining about him. And I like the guy. So.
Well, and I've just a lot of snarky stuff, no overt attack, but a lot of snarky stuff.
Right.
But people like, dude, haters gonna hate, man.
Haters gonna hate.
Also, it's pretty cool. Like he did all this and like doesn't have a special on like Netflix or HBO or like.
Well, his special's on Tubi now.
Yeah.
Or
is it Tubi?
Is it Tubi or Tubby?
Tubi, I think.
Tubi.
I believe it's Tubi.
Tubi.
Yeah.
So Tubi. Okay.
I don't
But
think
it's still
I don't
pretty
think,
cool. You can draw that many people, and you.
Hey,
don't
at
have,
least
like,
I can say algorithm.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I'm saying you can't call people Tubby even if it's a station. You know what I mean? Or whatever Tubby is. Tubi. All right.
I'm surprised you didn't go for a to be or not to be.
To
thing.
be.
Yeah. I'm
You're right. I'm not
softball tossing.
I'm not very sharp today.
Yeah. Soft toss.
So, what you got, man? Are you working on stuff? You're?
I don't know. Let's just start.
Yeah. We already did. What are you?
Wait, are we recording already?
We're always recording, dude.
No.
This show is constantly in record mode.
Oh, okay. Well, you don't even have a microphone. Oh, that's right. You
What's
put
this?
yours
A
on.
ham
Yeah,
sandwich?
yeah.
I got this, baby.
there
Did you just call him a ham sandwich?
I said, "What's this? A ham sandwich?"
I didn't know
never heard that.
the
That's
Matt
such a
Rife
pop-off
conversation was part of the show. Cool.
It's just conversation.
Yeah. No.
What do you mean? You never heard that? Is that a ham sandwich?
No. I've heard, like, if I would say we're gonna do this to my dad, be like, "Oh, we're gonna go do this." He'd be like, "What do you mean, we? You got a mouse in your pocket?"
Yeah,
I've heard that one, but I've never heard the ham.
We can't be on yet. I don't have any sound in my headphones.
Oh, you don't? Okay, I got you.
Yeah, the ham sandwich has been a staple.
Well, I mean, it's just you
in my
two
family.
guys.
I don't like.
Don't need headphones if you don't want it.
Not so much eating them, but you know, if somebody's looking for their keys and they're like, "I don't want to see my keys," what's that? A ham sandwich? That's that's go-to for my whole life. You know, you do use.
There we go. Now I got my radio works.
Yeah. James, you've been. Oh shit, I'm loud. I'm gonna take mine. Yesterday I didn't wear my headphones and I missed a good joke that he said.
It's just you two, so you don't need them if you don't want them, but if you'd like them.
I don't know. I feel like I'm more balanced on the mic when I have them on. That's the only reason I ever put
All right,
them on.
yeah.
But
It's up to you.
no, what do you want to do?
I got them on.
All right, well, fine.
I like to piss people off. There's not a whole lot of comments that I get and stuff, but one I've gotten a few times is they're annoyed by the way I wear my headphones because I have this one off my ear because the volume.
I want Tom to hear me burp. That's how I burp. No, I don't.
Oh, you didn't burp?
No,
Oh,
that
okay.
was fake. That's
All right.
That was a weird
yeah.
third time you jerked off in a day grunt.
Yeah. It was supposed to be. That was the idea.
What? That is a very specific sound. Like
that's what it was.
you couldn't have made it the third time you've come when in your relationship time. It has to be the jerk.
We're not talking about your relationship.
Okay.
Every time you come in your relationship is probably huge because it only happens once every year. I don't know.
All right, let's avoid that. All right. Yeah.
There we go.
Wait, I had a list of things I wanted. This is the second day in a row I've had a list,
Which
and I
is
lost
a shame because you're so organized most of the time.
Yeah, no, man, it really is out there.
I like that every time I come in, like Seth gets a little bit saucier.
Catty, yeah.
Just a little more like.
Yeah.
We're more familiar now.
Next time we'll have somebody new.
When this all began, Seth was just that. I'm just real happy to be here. No, it's like these fucking guys, man. These fucking guys.
So now he comes in like motherfucker.
Fucking Tom, fucking Eric.
Old white guys talking, telling me like,
old white guys talking about young, attractive white guys. Which, if Matt Rife is too white, I'm screwed.
Matt Rife, all he did was culture appropriate D'Angelo's album. So you know
I'm
what I'm
sure
saying?
that's what he said in his head whenever he was starting.
That's the knock on Rife we can go with, right? He stole D'Angelo's thing. All right. Let me find this list and then we can get to it. I don't have it. What the fuck? All right. Well, I don't have it. I got a couple books I'm reading that I'm trying to get you.
Yeah, you didn't send me the.
Yeah, like Ishmael. It's it's good. You haven't really. Have you listened to? You did Lucifer Principle.
Yeah,
that's the one that you did.
Is that a high school in hell?
No, it's this guy Howard.
Principle?
It's this guy Howard Bloom. He's he used to manage Prince. He helped bring Prince up. He sort of figured out that sphere of human psychology, and then he's got some weird thing where he couldn't leave the house or some shit for a couple years at a time.
Agoraphobia.
Really bad. And then, but he's also been he'll tell you in his books what a super genius he is. You know what I mean? He's one of these guys like Eminem, where every
he managed Prince. You said?
I'm telling you, it's a trick to success.
Oh yeah, have we told you this? The trick to success. We're like Howard Bloom. I was just saying he does that, where he's he talks about what a genius they discovered in him when he was a kid and he went to these special schools and blah, blah, blah. And then he gets into talking about what he's talking about. And Lucifer Principle, it's about somewhat evolution and the psychology of what sticks with me is how we sort of assume women are a softer sex or whatever, but they're fucking killers just like we are. And then he shows through nature and through history how that's true. And even more so, a woman will kill other people's babies to give her baby the advantage. What I mean?
That's
that kind of thing.
Have you heard? A supportive mom.
Yeah.
Well, right.
What's wrong with that?
the cheerleader lady that killed her daughter. She should use that defense. She should.
But no, have you guys seen? There was they did a study on soldiers on torture and whether or not torture is effective. And apparently what they figured out is for male soldiers, when you torture them, they don't give up the information very quickly. But if you torture another soldier or a female, if you torture one of their people in their unit or especially a female soldier, they'll give up information. Where with female soldiers, watching another soldier get tortured, nothing.
Oh, it just locks it in more?
Yeah, they're just why would I? So I'm sorry that person has to die, but it's...
Wow. Because she's watching it come on. You're not you're pushing out a baby. What are you whining about?
I mean, I do believe there's some level of biology to the fact that men are the disposable sex, right?
Yes, that's another point he makes, I think, is that we're disposable men. So
we are. You need one dude and 10 women to repopulate the world, where if you flip that around, 10 dudes and 1 woman, then they're just all going to murder each other anyway, so humanity's fucked.
Isn't that Children of Men, that movie?
Hi, Neil.
Anyone that identifies as one. It's not a complicated answer. I don't understand how they made an entire movie around that argument. Oh, they can't. It's an incredibly simple answer. What is a woman? Anybody that says they're a woman.
What women want.
How hard is that?
I immediately kind of I guess.
I can't hear anything, dude.
I guess that's the answer, but immediately I'm come on. I can't just say I'm a...
That's not the answer, I don't think.
Huh?
I think if you identify as a female...
How do you know that's not the answer? I haven't even given my answer.
What's your answer?
Never mind. No, I don't remember.
Now we're making some viral clips here. Let's get into this conversation.
I think there's a difference between a biological woman and someone who identifies as a woman.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
So that's no... See, but that's the thing. I don't know anyone on the left who's arguing that. Now, you can find a handful of fringe people, just like you can find a handful of fringe people on the right that'll go full on, we should almost be anarchists kind of level. But nobody's actually arguing that there's no biological difference between a biological female and a trans woman. But
that's the
what
argument.
is a woman? Anybody that identifies as a woman. What's a man? Anybody that identifies as a man.
A group of white guys made it 11 minutes and 57 seconds before the trans issue came up in a room. That's pretty great of us. I think that's a new record.
Hey, I don't think we're talking about it enough.
Okay. We need to raise the white male voice up.
Sorry, I just wanted to...
Well, to be fair, Neil had been on the couch 14 seconds before he said, what is a woman? Tom and I were talking about
Matt Rife. He's a woman.
Again, what's a woman? There we go. Anyway, Matt Rife. That's what a woman is.
If you're attracted to Matt Rife, you're a woman. That's
Matt Rife's a beautiful dude.
Yeah,
he is.
There you go.
Well, you're a woman there, apparently. Obviously there are biological differences between someone who is but I understand full well if your argument is, hey, maybe we shouldn't let somebody that went through puberty and hasn't done any sort of hormonal transition swim against female swimmers or fighting. Like, I understand that there is a place for that discussion and an argument, and having that doesn't make you some horrible bigot.
No.
But at the same time, the idea of people like sneaking, like somebody, like some creep is going to put on a dress so that he can sneak into a bathroom so that he can assault women. Like, really? The fact that I don't like the sign that says women, if he's not in a dress, he's going to be like, I can't go in there. Like, no.
Well, I think the trans part's important because I think otherwise it takes away from women. And I know that's a controversial issue, but I have a daughter, I have a wife.
Yeah.
It is.
Okay.
Yeah. But
some issues I literally just ignore.
Yeah, I mean, you can kind of let women deal with it, but I think a lot of this stuff is corporate driven. I think a lot of it is just designed. I think these are semantic issues in a lot of ways.
No, they
How
are.
is that corporate driven?
It's corporate driven because like companies like Anheuser-Busch realized that no one under 30 drinks Budweiser products because it's Trumpy Hill. That's the vision, the marketed vision of people. They don't drink it. They drink, hoppy beers and PBRs and all that kind of stuff, but they don't drink Budweiser. So they decided as a marketing campaign to attract younger audiences to use the transgender issue in a marketing campaign.
I think it goes deeper than that. I think it's more of a thing where it's big corporations take these issues that are controversial in society and they push them out there, so it gets us all distracted and worked up toward each other.
So bad that you need a beer?
No, so bad that we're not paying attention to what they're doing.
I mean, what's Budweiser doing that they haven't all?
Well, Budweiser is part of many companies, and there's,
right. But I mean, it's
there are corporations control the world.
Well, of course, corporations control the world. You're never going to hear me argue against that.
But if we all stand together and stand against corporations, then they lose power. Because we can control their power at some level, but we just can't work together well enough to control that power.
Underage drinkers.
What is it in 2023? Is it that we have to work together? Like, what's the great injustice that's happening to the 4 white dudes in this room in the world right now?
Well, I think corporations would like for us to have nothing. Just like at Davos.
We're their customer base. We have to have something.
Yeah, they want us to use their shit, but they can still control us to a level where we have to use their shit and we have nothing else.
Look, again, I do not want to take the position in the argument that I am defending corporate America, but there's no great, like, I am far more concerned about the influences that are coming through from things like the TikTok algorithm or YouTube's algorithm and that kind of stuff versus some lady that got hired by Anheuser-Busch to change their marketing campaign, and she decided to let's try this. And you know what? It got a lot of people talking about Budweiser.
Hey, use that marker that you said at 14 minutes it took us to get here. That's where you cut and then pick up in a few minutes.
Okay.
What were you guys talking about when I walked in?
What were we talking about when he walked in?
The trans issue.
No.
No, we were. That's what
you
made
were
him
saying.
bring it up.
I have the minutes here. You were saying that James was saying men soldiers will
yeah. Like male soldiers are like male. Have you probably seen that, right? The thing about
been tortured
when they did they were doing like the torture studies, and male soldiers, if you torture someone from their unit in front of them, especially a female person from their unit, they're more willing to give up information than if you torture them. If you actually torture them, they don't always talk. But if you torture, they're more likely to give up information. Where when they flipped it with the female soldiers, you could torture people they knew directly in front of them all day long and they wouldn't give up anything. But if you torture them, they will. And that's and again, we're talking about biology, but that's
because
that came from the fact that he mentioned that women are way more brutal than people ever talk about, which is absolutely true. That's one of the dumbest things you'll ever see.
Especially now that men are women.
Yeah. I mean, if anything, it's weakened them.
It's true. That's a good point.
But I mean,
that's an interesting point, and I've thought about this too, is So if you look at like homosexuality is a natural. It's a common theme throughout nature. You see it in all different species of animals, but then issues like trans that's a specifically human issue. It requires culture, because it's a cultural issue because there's when you look at like masculine and feminine behaviors or masculine and feminine traits, those vary widely. It's a broad spectrum.
That's because it's a social construct.
Yes. It's not even, it's beyond that. I think that's more biological. I think that's something you're just naturally born with. Some men are very masculine, some men are very feminine, some women are very masculine, some women are very feminine, and so it's I think. But when you get into like what you're talking about, where like the torture thing, that's a biological reaction because women are biologically and evolutionarily more valuable than men in our species because they're the only ones that can carry on the species because the DNA needs them to keep moving forward because the DNA is the real life form, Right. And it's all connected. It's all one life. I mean, if you look at all life on the planet, it's all connected.
In that same study, would they say, let's say, I'm getting tortured they want the information out of me, so they torture you.
Right.
I'll give up the information. Will I give up the information quicker if you're a woman?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. And that's just you think that's biological?
Yeah,
it
is.
That's more important.
Yeah. Because you're trying to protect that woman.
But it's not only biological, it's also social. It's also
that's true.
I don't know a single biological male who wasn't raised to the idea of a certain level of disposability.
I think I could watch Marjorie Taylor Greene or whatever her name is. I think I would keep the information in for a little longer if she was the.
Well, if you don't like the person, that's different.
Well,
but even then, I think there's some level where I think if you're an empathetic human, then it doesn't matter. It's like, I don't like you, but I'm gonna help you out here. Huh. Just because it seems to be the humanitarian thing to do.
So that's what Lucifer Principle was about. It was sort of about that, but it was way more.
It's not a high school in hell.
Yeah, but it would be way more interesting. That's hilarious. Lucifer's Principle.
That'd be a fun kids show.
Yeah.
Like
that would be.
Grim Adventures, Love the Grim Adventures.
You get sent to the office and you're actually sitting there dealing with Satan.
Yes. No, it's Satan.
I feel like the kids are the devil. Like the principal. Yeah. Like he's just some schmuck, and he has to deal with all these demon children.
Yes.
When I was in school, I felt like the kids were the devil.
And then he had another book called
John Lithgow's Seagull.
Yes, that's Richard Bach. He had another book called the Global Brain, which he taught again evolutionary wise. He talks about the very beginning when it was the tiniest of thing, and then in order for it to survive and find food, different parts of it started to evolve. So it developed the flagellum or whatever, little tail to move, and then it developed ways for pieces of it to break off in every direction that most were going to die, and then one of them would find the food, and then that's where that sort of brain of neurons developed into everything that is.
And that's why
it's his point was scientifically sort of, and he shows through the different species on the planet and the way it's all connected. In going back to that one thing, so we're really sort of one global brain.
Yeah, that's what we were saying. Like last night, I was like, "Oh, I'm acting like my dad," or you're like, "What makes you feel like you act like your dad?" And it's like, it's weird that we're all just like one dude, like 800 years ago.
Yeah,
or like farther than that. It's like a lot of us are like one person that those traits were passed down forever. Like the way I get mad or something, it's like that's how that guy did it forever ago. It's
all the way back to the single-celled organism, because that's what all we are is just blobs of single-celled organisms.
Yes, that's sort of the point that he makes in that book.
It's that cellular automata thing I was telling you about yesterday. It's like the game of life. There are certain rules that life follows, and then it just becomes more and more complex until you eventually have consciousness and self-awareness.
Going back in reverse to that single thing, how is that not consciousness? And then consciousness just that's what makes it express it. It starts as consciousness and it becomes the stuff instead of it becomes all the stuff and then consciousness.
I mean, sure, yeah. I mean, there's
I think it's the other way.
Definitely could be a level of consciousness in everything. You know, even in the electrons or whatever. You know, so it's consciousness is
unless you get hit by Mike Tyson back in the
broad
90s,
spectrum.
Then you're an unconscious.
Well, like insects are conscious. They experience something, but they don't. I mean, surely they don't remember. You know, or think ahead. They're just in the moment.
Philosophically, you're not going to find a lot of people that have dedicated their life to that study that are going to give the equivalent of human consciousness to ants or to even a more close to human evolved like chimpanzees. There's always going to be that line of human consciousness is the thing that made us exceptional.
Yeah,
because we developed this thing that no other living creature. But
that's not true, though. We're just wrong.
I mean, I kind of agree with the fact that we're wrong about that. But there is something that
who's going to argue with us, though?
Shortly, AI.
Yeah. They're just going to
that'll argue with us.
Hopefully, it'll teach us how to raise our consciousness. You know
hopefully, and not just destroy us.
Yes. Well, maybe we
or
need
put
to
us in zoos. We'll be in the zoos of the future.
That'd be cool.
Free food.
That's right.
Come on now.
That's right. If you get free food, you can
look. Seth's picking up some. Come on now. It's like you've been hanging out with Tom a lot. Come on now.
Come on now.
Oh, that is where I got it. I've been saying it on stage a lot. Come on now.
Come on. Okay. So, God dang it. I really had James. I wanted to talk to James about. He started sailing, by the way.
Oh, nice.
Yeah, and I want to talk to you about. Do you know what's happening with Ja Morant? You know basketball.
I'm not sure that is
the guy with the gun.
Yes.
Yes.
Exactly. There's a basketball player. He's got unbelievable hops. He's like a smaller dude, but he's just crazy good. Right?
He's one of the most gifted athletically in the NBA. Right?
Like an AI type guy in our.
He's
just a little bigger and a little stronger than.
Yeah. And by AI, I mean Allen Iverson. Not.
Yeah. Oh, okay. You can't say AI around Neil without him just going.
You know we talk about practice.
If you start talking about sports, I'll just be quiet.
Yeah, that's fine.
Okay.
If you want to shut me up, just talk about basketball.
Okay, that's what we're doing now.
No, but like part of it's really more about there are a couple of things that are funny about the Ja Morant thing. So initially he got in trouble because he was during a team activity had a gun, and so during a team activity they were in Denver.
What was the activity?
They were on the road, so they were traveling as a group, and part of the collective bargaining agreement says no firearms in the locker rooms, no firearms in the team hotels. We have security. You guys don't bring those things with you.
Okay.
And that's collectively bargained in their union contract.
If you have security, that makes sense.
Right. And so initially he got a suspension for that, and there were a couple other off the court issues. He got in a fist fight with some basketball recruit. Like there were some issues, but they adjudicated all of it, and he got.
How does he get through security on the flights with the gun?
Are you going to stop him?
Because they have private chartered planes. They don't go through security.
Yeah. You can carry a gun on a private plane.
TSA,
they're not.
Yeah, they're not standing in
well,
I'm on the wrong team. If I got recruited, I'm like, oh, hell yeah, I'm in the NBA. And then we have to go through TSA. They're like, shit.
Yeah, what?
I'm on the worst team.
If I'm a terrorist, why?
You're going to join the NBA?
No.
Yeah.
I'm going deep, baby.
Yeah,
I'm starting my kids training at 2. You know what I mean? Enough with the jungle gym fucking out there with Al-Qaeda. Get in the gym, baby.
Al-Qaeda's good at basketball.
Yeah, Tom. I love the fact that Tom has never even imagined having enough wealth that he wouldn't have to go through TSA.
I feel good just about getting pre-check. But that's the best money I ever spent in my life.
It is great.
But,
it really is amazing, isn't it?
It's unbelievable. If I could do a commercial for pre-check, I'd be like, what? First of all, I don't want other people to do it because then my line will get long. I used to feel like, look at the rich asshole. When you're waiting in line, and I still have some of that feeling of guilt when I go up there and it's like there's a long line and I'm just like, but now,
I have the same thing with the skip the line at amusement parks.
But
I also always spend the money to skip the line.
Yeah, I get pissed off when I'm in pre-check and somebody from the regular line jumps in front of me and like, hey.
Yeah.
Hey, I went and got fingerprinted for this. Yeah.
Do you ever use that to get to the fast pass or whatever? Do you ever use the leg as a thing?
Oh, I have. I about missed my flight one time and I told them I'm handicapped. I need someone to take me to the gate. Yeah, they'd put me in a cart and just rushed me to the gate.
Nice.
Caught my flight.
Nice.
Then I hopped off and ran up to the.
Yeah, you could have ran faster than the thing that took you there.
We did that with my father-in-law when we went to Disney. We were like, oh, we got a wheelchair, and then it was like we were front row of everything, and then he would just get up out of the chair and get down, go into the thing, and it was like, oh, we found a loophole.
Here's a funny story. I was working on
handicapped people got it made.
Yeah.
No.
Except for the whole being handicapped.
It still sucks.
And I would give up my left leg to skip lines.
Yeah.
I wouldn't.
Okay, sports. Kyrie Irving, he's at the thing.
John Morant.
John Morant. Oh, if I was a terrorist, I would just. These guys, almost every athlete loves his mom, right? You go take this guy's mom, and you're like, there's no security. You're taking my bag onto that plane.
How good?
And I've got your mom, and if you don't, I'm taking her down. And then that plane is, my guy is in the bag, and he's flying the plane into whatever.
How good of a
nailed it?
How good of a player would a terrorist have to be for you to be like, all right, he's cool? How good would he have to be? Like, he's a known Al Qaeda guy.
Well, if he's a
like,
baseball player, Tom would be more forgiving. I think, because he loves baseball.
Yes.
I think Tom, we just passed over. Tom just said, what he actually said was most black dudes really love their moms.
I slipped in a compliment. You're right. Sometimes I'm
but it is interesting because I would say black dudes across the board love their moms more than most white dudes do. And not love them more, but they have a better relationship with their mothers. It's a cultural thing, right? Okay, it is true.
Is this why you don't talk about sports?
I think it's
because I didn't say it was black guys. You said you're the one who turned it. Said these guys, everybody loves their moms. You said made NBA player black guys. I'm just saying you're right. Are there white guys? The guy
literally the two-time MVP, Finals MVP, current best player in the NBA is not a white guy. I mean, it's not a black guy.
Really?
Yeah.
How is that possible?
He doesn't even really care, this guy.
Basketball
it's unbelievable.
Is boring.
Yes.
I think it's so funny.
The guy that's the best player in the NBA just won the championship. They're like, if they were to do the Disney commercial right now with him, you just won the championship. What are you going to do? And he's like, I just want to go home and ride horses.
How old is this guy?
28.
It might be the worst impression of Nikola Jokic, but it's awesome. He's like, they're like, when you going home? And he's like, I'm going home. And they're like, you got to go to the parade. You excited for the parade? And he's like, when parade?
He's just
Thursday,
all basketball.
And he's like, Thursday, and they're like,
he was mad that his
like,
flight because he's from Serbia, and he was super not super. He wanted to basically when the game was over, he wanted to do the award ceremony.
Did he talk about his mom?
No.
There you go.
Okay. Good.
Well, his mom was at the game.
Yes.
Okay.
His mom was killed in the Serbia-Bosnia war. Okay. It's Kyrie Irving.
John Morant.
John Morant. Okay. See. John Morant gets caught with a gun.
What's more racist? You can't keep them tell them apart, or he thinks everybody in the NBA is black.
Well, when I hear negative shit about a guy, I think in the NBA, I think Kyrie Irving.
I understand.
That guy's a fucking.
When I think about great basketball players, I don't think about white dudes.
I mean,
Larry Bird.
And the sentence is over.
Larry Bird today would have no chance.
I thought I was going to rip off a list.
Steve Nash.
Jason Williams.
Doesn't mean anything.
White chocolate or whatever his name was. He was unbelievable. His passes.
There's some good white athletes.
There's some now too. There's plenty.
Overall, we're not.
Okay.
Not on
so
that level.
They love their moms, and that's what I mean. There's a loophole in security of our air security right there, and that's how my mind works.
I have a new bit where I talk about. I was a white dude who could actually jump. I could dunk a basketball with two hands, so I was like the equivalent of the athletic equivalent of an average black dude.
You know what? Here's the thing about that. I feel like that's a joke you shouldn't do, not because of the racial undertones, but because now that because of your leg situation,
it's got to do with my leg.
You can argue, I used to be able to, kind of thing.
That's true.
Right now, I can only get a job at IHOP. Okay, how much times have you
This is the '90s. Early 2000s.
There's videos in the 90s of me winning wrestling matches.
I was poor in the 90s and the early 2000s.
Yeah, but I only watched those because of the singlet.
Yeah.
Okay. John Morant.
Okay.
I've gone back to that like twice.
Also, I couldn't play basketball worth shit. It was just I could just jump really well.
Yeah. Can you play D?
Well, yeah, I could do that. Yeah.
No, I just think it's funny
that is get you off your feet, Mr. High Jump. Now I'm going.
Yeah, I can block people.
Okay,
yeah.
So John Morant has got hops like you did, but with two legs.
Probably better.
Yeah, and he is at a team event, whatever, at the hotel.
Right. So he got an initial suspension of 8 games for all of that stuff, all the stuff that happened. He got his 8-game suspension, came back. Right after he came back, he posted a video on Instagram where he flashed a gun in the video on Instagram.
Now, how old is this dude?
25.
Okay.
But literally all he did was in an Instagram video, you could see him with a gun. Right. And now they're probably going to suspend him for half a season.
Wow.
I understand the 8 games, but here's nobody from the NRA is rushing out to defend this black guy's right to his, Second Amendment rights.
Well, where was he at when he flashed the gun on the video?
He was in a car riding with one of his friends. It was not a team activity. It was in no way connected.
Does he have a concealed carry permit and all that stuff?
Yeah, it was no crime was committed.
Then they shouldn't be able to do anything to him.
Right.
That's his
rights. No NBA podcaster, no writers, nobody on the right either. No NRA members. No one is coming out defending this black guy's Second Amendment right to have a weapon whenever he wants to, or his First Amendment right to express his and it's, everybody's like, I don't know if he should get a 20-game or a 42-game suspension.
That's crazy. He shouldn't get any suspension. Yeah.
I absolutely.
I understand the other thing is this is part of the rules of his organization. If the organization provides security and they tell you, as a player on the team, you can't have a weapon or whatever. That's follow the rules.
He's still under contract with the team. The league has already suspended him. I don't know.
I feel like he's got a big lawsuit there.
He's not under police investigation.
The argument that Tom is making is the argument that literally everyone is making.
I'm just making the other side here. I don't even know the story.
But the humor of it to me is the fact that no one is taking that position.
It's strange.
Oh, it's Well, the hero, it's because he's a black guy.
Yeah, I don't think so.
If it was Nikola Jokic and he flashed a gun, the NRA would be like, that man has a Second Amendment right. I cannot believe it would be the biggest story on Fox News that this if it was Brett Favre, if Brett Favre showed a gun in an Instagram video and was suspended,
everybody would go crazy.
Fox News would not stop running that story on loop.
But also, there are a lot of pro Second Amendment. There are a lot of black dudes that are pro Second Amendment too. So I don't.
Wait, what?
There are a lot of black dudes that are pro Second Amendment and
NRA
members that are black too. So
no, that's not. I'm not talking. I'm not saying there aren't black members of the NRA. I'm not saying there aren't black people that are pro Second Amendment.
When was this story though?
It's literally today. Is either today or tomorrow. They're actually announcing how long he's going to be suspended.
I would imagine there'd be a lot of people supporting him and defending him.
But that's the thing. There's not.
Well, maybe you just haven't saw it yet.
Fox News has done nothing about it.
None of the main, like Fox News and CNN aren't going to do it.
But mainstream, but it's a huge story on ESPN. It has been reported on CNN. It has been reported on MSNBC that he is facing the suspension. This is a huge media story within sports.
What's his name?
Ja Morant. J-A. Is his first name Morant?
He's just an expressive gun owner.
Wait a minute. Like, what if we don't? What I'm saying is I don't know the story. If he's working for the NBA and the NBA has rules and the commissioner sat him down and like you guys can't be involved with guns, blah blah blah. I'm not saying it supersedes that right, but especially since he already got suspended, they probably were like no more guns. Or you're going to see the hammer, and then he's immediately
an employer say that?
That would be weird if he got fired. They'd be like, hand in your sweats and your gun.
And to be clear, look, the NBA is a privately owned.
Yeah,
he walks in the room. He's got to put his press badge and his gun on the table.
But they're like, we don't want your gun.
But I feel like specifically for athletes, because professional sports leagues have antitrust exceptions, that they shouldn't be able to do things like suspend something. Like if it's just a private company that doesn't have any antitrust exceptions, they can tell their employee, you can't show videos of yourself with a gun without getting that's a different thing when it's a private company.
What if I can?
But when it's a privately owned league, but that has antitrust exceptions, meaning the government has given them like special dispensation where they can be basically the only game in town, and they can shut down competition. Then I don't. And again, I have no issue with gun regulations. I'm a big fan of regulating guns. I just think in this specific situation, it's funny that there's not a large outcry on the right defending his right to show a gun in an Instagram video.
Well,
and I mean, look, I'm not saying that there hasn't been a blogger that hasn't.
Fox News actually supported him today.
So now the story, now it's coming out.
Will Kane, I'm not sure Will Kane is.
Okay, so this story's been around for 6 to 8 weeks. It's been growing in the media.
And some guy named Paul Pierce. Some guy named Paul Pierce is supporting him too.
Paul Pierce is a basketball player.
Okay, and then Charles Barkley is condemning him. So.
Right. But
Barkley's condemning him?
The argument, but that's the argument for
but
the
I think
last.
Barkley's probably more like you're being stupid, dude.
Right. But
Barkley, the NBA is marketing you, and you're giving them, you're hurting the marketing of you and the league and your team. Yeah. And so I think that's probably, I'm guessing that's what Barkley's going to say.
That's right. I agree with that.
But he could just be like, dude, I'm like Kobe, baby. I'm always working on my shooting.
Regardless of the.
I was like, I'm so proud of you for not doing a Charles Barkley impression, and then you did that.
That's not Charles Barkley.
That's fine.
Hey, I can tell you right now, like going back to the shooting thing, when Aaron Rodgers would get into the end zone, there was a couple seasons where he'd make a touchdown, he'd be like,
he'd fire a rifle.
Yeah, he would do like a pistol
like
thing.
finger guns.
Like finger guns.
Yeah.
So that's fine.
And it is fine, but to his point, if that would have been Randy Moss or a black receiver, they'd have been like, you're suspended. Because they were suspending him for doing this.
Showing
like the game over, baby.
Fake mooning.
Like any sort of that sort of like displays of violence.
Aggressive displays.
They were coming down on people. But Aaron Rodgers was allowed to pull the full guns out and do the fake, you know what I mean? But there was a time where we were very sensitive about showing gun, and he doesn't do that anymore. I don't know if that.
They may have talked to him or something.
Well, he also used to do the belt.
Basically, like the stuff you just Googled. In the last couple of days, there have been a handful of people that have actually responded, but it has been a dominant story on ESPN for weeks, probably 6 weeks now, because it actually happened at the end of the season, and they're finally now announcing his suspension because they didn't want it to be a distraction during the playoffs. But so like this story has just been everywhere.
What if they're like, dude,
within sports media?
What if they're like, dude, you're suspended for 3 games? Is that going to be a story anymore, or does anybody really care?
Well, I think the only way it's probably going to become a big, the next step to the story is either going to be if he gets half a season. There are going to be more people that are going to come out probably in his defense, because right now the question is he going to get 20 games or 40 games? Not because he got 8 games for what already happened, and apparently part of the argument is they kind of went lenient on him with the first suspension.
They're
because
like, look, you got it, and he's like, I'll clean it up.
Right, and I think that was part of the argument was like, look, if you're gonna do this, like, look, we're gonna give you only 8 games for this, but you can't mess up again.
Yeah, keep your nose
And
clean.
so now they're being,
because I think leagues like this, they don't, when it happens with somebody, they're not necessarily penalizing that guy as they're also trying to make a statement to the other guys in the league.
Yeah.
right.
If you got, this is gonna be taken seriously.
But it's not a Gilbert Arenas situation where he literally had a gun in a locker room and threatened a guy on his team.
Yeah, it's different. But
like
also,
that happened. That was 15
he
years
didn't
ago.
Plaxico Burress himself either.
Shot himself in the foot.
Yeah.
Right? Although he did. Morant shot himself in the foot.
I guess, yeah.
But here's the thing too, and I don't know anything about this guy. Do you guys know what his life was like before basketball? Like where he's out of?
I think he played for Duke for one season.
I mean, like his childhood and stuff. Where did he grow up at? What was his life like before sports?
Upper middle class, suburban. You know what I mean? Cul-de-sac probably.
Oh, really?
That's what I'm guessing. Private school.
Is he serious?
Of course I'm not serious.
Are you, just out of curiosity, are you about to make a he grew up in the hood life argument?
Well, maybe.
Okay.
That's a legitimate argument. But my point is, a lot of these guys do come from tough beginnings, and
right.
And I grew up in poverty, so I understand. It's a different culture, it's a different way of life. It's a lot. There's a lot of, when you grow up poor, there's a lot of societal pressure, and then I would say if you grow up in the hood or something, it's probably even worse. Because it's not just poor, it's not just poverty, it's also safety. I was poor, but I felt safe.
Because the police in your neighborhood were trying to keep things safe, and in their neighborhood they were putting people in jail for stupid reasons and
yeah, but also you have
whole
gang violence and all these other issues to deal with too in inner city poverty. So I think
how are the gangs different than like a country, a white poor like Hatfield and McCoy's?
That's very unlikely.
Okay, that's what
and also there are massive white gangs throughout the South. The Goat Gang. The Goat Gang is one of the biggest, most powerful gangs in the entire country.
Sure.
It's existed for over 70 years.
The what?
The Goat Gang.
Yeah, but like your motorcycle gangs and stuff aren't
right.
as,
You've got the Hell's Angels. There's nothing specific about black people in gangs.
Well, hang on. There's a difference though in that situation, because when you're poor, like poor and white, or just poor and rural, those motorcycle gangs and stuff don't really affect you in the same way as inner city gangs do.
They sell your mom meth.
Yeah, but they're
like
well,
it's.
But my parents weren't on drugs, so but that was not an issue we dealt with. But the poverty in the rural South, you deal with more issues, more like domestic violence and alcoholism and those types of things are more prevalent. And there is a safety issue with fighting and stuff like that. And in some really rough communities, you can have a lot of personal safety issues with being afraid someone's going to shoot you or something, or rob you or beat you up or whatever. But I would say in the inner cities that the violence is even higher. And
the murder rate's not.
But regardless of all that stuff, coming out of poverty, and then going into a super successful career is a difficult transition for anybody that has come out of that, and
especially if you have like $80 million.
And so, well, yeah, and you need it is. Hey, look, the dude came out of poverty. If he came out of poverty, then he came out of poverty. So you can't expect him to have a certain level of.
I think we're having an extended conversation like facts, not in evidence.
No, I think this is
John Morant.
Well, yeah.
John Morant. I understand that his name is John Morant, and I understand that he's black, so it can be.
Well, yeah, we don't know. Do we know if he came out of poverty? That's the question.
He grew up in a 2-parent home, lower middle class.
Lower middle class. So okay.
Why didn't you start with that?
Yeah,
because I really enjoyed listening to Neil make that argument.
But also, what was his family like at home? Even lower middle class, still not doing.
None of that's relevant.
It is relevant.
It isn't. If he just got in trouble for not having having a gun, and they were like, if you have a gun again, we're dropping the hammer down on you. To pull it out on a fucking Instagram post is dumb. It doesn't matter.
Nobody's arguing that it's intelligent.
No.
It's arguing that
it's a bad decision.
Should he catch a half a season without pay, that means he's going to be out $15 to $20 million.
No.
Here's what I think should happen.
Like, should he be suspended for a non-professional setting, possessing a gun when he has every legal right to do so?
No.
And also, are they exploiting him and using him to get more media coverage, free press? And beyond that, it seems like these types of issues happen a lot in professional sports because these are young dudes, young men with underdeveloped brains. They're early 20s, and they're also athletes. These guys are warriors. They're really intense humans. And they're very competitive, and they're risk takers. And they may not rationalize the same way that most of us do. So I think you have to consider that. And I think the smart thing to do for the NBA or any professional sports league would be to say, if you're on the league, then you don't control your own social media. We give everybody a PR person that handles your social media. If you want to post something, you can post it, but it has to be filtered through your PR person because you're representing the league and you're getting paid millions of dollars. You're a highly paid professional, and we have a certain standard, and so everything you post on social media goes through this filter. Right. And if we feel like it's going to damage the league or it's going to damage you as part of your contract, you can't post it. And then this shit doesn't happen.
Well, that is understandable, but so professional athletes, currently in their contracts, that does not exist.
Yeah, it should.
Also. So then Instagram Live or Twitch or like all these, like they're not allowed to do any of that stuff. They're not allowed to go live on Facebook. Like it's like at what point does the NBA, there's already a lot of arguments. Like people were actually arguing that NBA owners actually voted about whether or not they would still publicly refer to themselves as owners because of the history of slavery and black athletes and these rich billionaire white guys. Should they be walking around calling themselves owners of these So that's, I mean, that's
well, you own a team, and the players are paid very well. I think slavery.
Of course,
slavery might be the.
I'm not
the cashier at Walmart.
I am not. Well, I am not comparing the two. I am just saying in the modern NBA, they are very. They are trying to move in a more progressive.
So
because they had the Donald Sterling stuff. All those things, like you guys remember that story, right? Of
course.
Like,
I have no idea.
He was the owner of the Clippers, and he got in an argument with his mistress.
Oh yeah, I do
about her,
that, yeah.
having sex with Magic.
Yeah.
So he wasn't mad about the way he has AIDS.
Yeah,
he was mad about
he's black.
Yeah. Anyway,
well, he wasn't even mad that he was black. He was mad that he was black, and she was posting it on the internet.
Yeah, that's right.
Fuck who you want.
So
Just
wait.
don't put it on the.
So circling back to this. If I'm the NBA, and let's say there's a couple instances where he's at a team function and he has a gun, and we're like, you gotta, and we don't really crack down because he's got a Second Amendment right. And then he's posting on the internet over time, him out flashing his gun, having his gun with him. And then 6 months from now, Kyrie Irving's at a club and he kills 2 people. And it's like, now am I liable as the NBA because I didn't make a stand to crack down on this guy when I saw this coming? And not that it is, but that sort of happens. Like when something like that happens in society, we kind of go back and we're like, you should have known he was blah-de-de-blah, and your people knew, and you didn't do nothing, and that's why he beat that woman, or whatever it was, I
don't think so.
No?
I mean, nobody blamed the NFL for, like, Aaron Hernandez.
And in that case,
they kind of blamed him for getting poop brain.
CTE, yeah.
Right, but but maybe the brain damage, like that's.
Yeah.
But nobody blamed the NFL for not knowing he was going to kill some people.
Why doesn't brain damage ever turn like an asshole into a nice guy? You know what I mean? Like it's not like
it does. They just don't kill people, so it doesn't end up in the news. I'm assuming. I bet CTE 9 times out of 10 is a bonus.
That's a lame story. Local man is nice now.
Total douche is now pretty cool.
NFL center saves 3 children from fire, which he would never have done.
So when you just have mean dudes, you just hit them in the head real hard a few times, and hopefully it turns them around.
Or they don't swing back.
Well, that's what they used to do. They just drill a hole through your brain, right?
Yeah.
Or shock you.
A lobotomy.
Yeah. Whatever happened to lobotomies?
Self-lobotomies.
They were so great.
It's actually called something. I can't, like, self-lobotomies is called, like, anyway, we did an episode on Stewart's podcast, the Obsessive Curiosity, where he had one where he found, like, how Stewart goes to all these shops and finds weird stuff. Well, he found an old kit for people that do it. And it's actually, I just saw on Instagram a couple weeks ago, that's sort of making a comeback. People that are doing self-lobotomizing as a high.
Crazy.
Which, yes.
Just do heroin.
Yeah.
What the fuck?
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
We have really good drugs that wear off. Like, why would you permanently?
By saying people, probably 4. You know what I mean? Like I don't think it's a very safe thing to do.
Well, the heroin doesn't.
No, I don't think it is either.
The heroin doesn't get to the demons. So.
Oh, I don't know. You've never done heroin.
Have you ever done heroin?
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, interesting. How was it?
Wait, like
amazing. Like, there's a reason why people could.
Okay, let's talk about it. This is interesting to me. First of all, because my sister has said heroin addict, or many years ago, she would said heroin addicts were some of the hardest people to treat in recovery, just because, and I'm sure it's become that with opioids, because they would literally look you in the face and it'd be like, have you done heroin? No? Okay, well then you don't know what it's like. So you trying to use therapy on me to, anyway.
No, they're like, you'll hear junkies say like, oh, it's better than sex. Sort of.
Yeah?
Yeah.
What about, can you have sex on heroin?
Depends on how much you've done.
Okay, I want to go back to
you can snort some heroin, just like you can take a couple of.
I thought heroin was those needles.
No, you can needles. You can snort it. You can smoke it. You can
Why would you ever shoot it in your arm if you can snort it?
Because it's just quicker and it's stronger.
It's quicker than straight into your.
Sure.
Okay, so the very first time you did it, did you plan on it?
Oh yeah.
Like okay.
No, in my youth.
I don't think that.
In my youth, my goal when I said I want to try everything.
Really?
I want to try all the drugs. I want to have done them all, and then that way I can say honestly whether. But the reason I never became a junkie is if you do heroin. And then you don't do it again for a week, or if you don't do it again for 2 weeks, You don't get addicted. It's
Yeah.
No one gets addicted the first time.
That's not true.
It's absolutely
It is
true.
Yeah.
I mean,
people do heroin
The
because their life is horrible.
chemical addiction. I'm not talking about looks. You may do it and you'd be like, that's amazing. I want to do it again.
It's literally, addiction is literally in, like, there's DNA markers for it. So when that shit happens, your body, that part of you sort of wakes up.
You do not develop a chemical dependency where you're going through withdrawals from doing heroin once. Just like you can take if you go to the doctor. All heroin is Vicodin really, really, really concentrated.
Yeah,
it's just an opiate. It's just a concentrated, it's just a stronger, faster, more.
And you know that from trying all these other.
Well, look at Oxycontin.
No, we used to snort Vicodin all the time.
So did you make like a big list of the drugs, or did you or did you just have it in your head? I'm going to do them all.
Yeah, it was I was going to do them all.
Did you have like a checklist written?
I mean, in my brain, I didn't.
Okay.
But yeah,
you didn't carry it around with you.
Did you make it through the checklist? Did you make
it alphabetically?
You've done them all?
Yeah.
That's amazing. There has to be some you haven't done. How about fentanyl?
Yeah.
Okay. I thought just touching that shit could kill you.
No.
This is all hoax.
No, it's not a hoax. It's that look, if you've done cocaine in the last 15 years, you have done fentanyl. Okay. But I've done fentanyl just to do fentanyl. But
man, why? Just because of the do it
to see. What's that do?
Well, fentanyl's dangerous, but
it is dangerous. Fentanyl is incredibly dangerous.
Heroin's not that dangerous.
Well, heroin
physiologically,
it's funny.
It's not that dangerous.
You can do heroin every day for 20 years, stop, and there's not really a major damage to your versus where cocaine actually fucks up things inside your body.
Yeah, it'll destroy your organs.
But with opiates, it's an incredibly sort of natural and organic thing. It's the concentrating an opiate into heroin is dangerous. You can OD on it. And quitting it is an incredibly difficult thing once you've developed a chemical dependence.
How old were you when you made this decision? I'm going to do them all.
I'm probably 14 or 15.
Had you done any to that point?
Yeah. Like, I think I was 15 when I started doing weed. By the time I was 15, I did acid.
Were you like, this Pokemon shit sucks? I'm getting drugs.
Dude, I don't know what kind of childhood you had, but like I got molested at 8. It was pretty much on from then on.
Well, that's that's a big.
I'm glad you tried everything.
Yeah.
Well, that's a good point. The war on drugs is such a bullshit thing anyway. And if we eliminated the war on drugs and decriminalized all the drugs and then regulated the harder drugs like heroin, it would solve a lot of our drug issues in society, and also it would help a lot of people because why would you criminalize someone who has enough pain in their life that they resort to heroin? That person's crying out saying, my life is so horrible, I want to avoid my life.
They're at a party and they're fucked up, and that sounds fun.
Well, that happens too. My cousin died a few months ago from taking a pill at a party, and he wasn't a drug addict. He just was a dude that took a pill at a party. And also another friend of mine, his daughter was about the same age, or she was actually a little younger than him. She was early 20s. Same thing. This was just a few weeks ago.
But that's what I mean about was there a decision and a build up to doing the heroin, and you're like, you don't just here's heroin, but like. That's what I mean. That's what I meant. Like, were you at a party and people were like, "Hey, you want to try heroin?" And you're like, "Oh,
no." I did. I actually seeked out heroin was a specific one because you're not at a party usually, and somebody's like, "Do you want to do heroin?"
Yeah, unless you're
like
a rock
people
star.
don't share their heroin. That's not like people share their coke. Like somebody will have because doing coke alone sucks. Doing coke with 6 people is an amazing night. So if you have coke, you want other people to do coke with you because then we're all having a party. When you do heroin, especially if you inject it, you pretty much just lay down. Like you're having an amazing it's incredible. It is the biggest dopamine blast your brain can get.
So did you do a bunch of research into it first? And your mind seems to be like, all right, I'm going to look up what the characteristics of this are and whatnot.
I read a bunch of books by former junkies and stuff, and I was like, "Yeah, I'm gonna do that."
So, but did you just end up doing the heroin, whatever version you got from whatever dealer you found from your brother, or did you?
No, he was already in prison.
or did you, or whoever was muling it to him into the prison, whatever, or did you say like, I specifically want to snort this, or I specifically want to do, or this?
The first time, well, I had been at parties, and again, or in just me and my buddy Mac hanging out or whatever. Like I had snorted Vicodin and like oxys probably on 30 different occasions over like a 4-year stretch before I actually tried heroin. So I had some experience with opioids. Like, so it was, so it wasn't a completely, but then when I was hanging out with a guy that he was a hardcore rock kid. Like he was still hitting crack pretty good. This was probably 97, 98-ish. He was, and like, this was like sort of when crack was sort of kind of fading out a little bit. So it was weird to run into a crackhead at that point. But I was like, dude, you do crack? He's like, can you find heroin? He was like, yeah, man. I was like, dude, I want to try that. And he was like, do you know how? I was like, we can figure it out. And he was like, all right, well, like, you don't want to do it wrong, I was like, okay, well, let's find somebody that does it right.
What's doing it wrong?
If you, because you got to put it in the spoon, and then you got to heat it up with and then as you draw it in, like, you have to have a cotton ball, because if it doesn't all dissolve and you draw it into the needle and you inject it, it can cause like a severe blood clot, and you can have a hemorrhage, like brain hemorrhage, and
it's
die.
like bubbles or something, right?
Yeah. So there's like all the. So I was like, yeah, fuck yeah, let's do it. And I just wanted to try it.
So, but
I couldn't do it here. I had to do it into my hand, because just in the same way that when I'm
so the first time you did it, you shot it up.
Yeah, no. The first time I had. Yeah, no. It was actually the first time it was shoot it. Then after that, I snorted it a few times.
Wow.
But I had to do it into my hand.
So foreign to me,
because you couldn't get a vein here. The same way whenever I get blood drawn, they always just, my arm gets bruised all the shit. Right. Well, no, it's like, come on, you get it. Like, they can never get a vein here.
You're like, can you just punch me? I'll give you blood from my nose.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But yeah, always got to get drawn out here.
A really interesting thing about that too is when they developed OxyContin, they were saying it was not addictive, and
because it was supposed to be slow release.
The original OxyContin pills could be melted down into a spoon. They were just heroin.
Yeah, they just crush it.
It was just like, oh, we can get both markets.
But the idea was supposed to be if you take it as it comes, then it's slow release. It's actually an amazing drug. And
I've taken it. It is amazing.
And I don't mean just for drug. I mean for like serious.
I took it after
pain.
Surgery when I lost my leg. But I knew how powerful it was, so I would purposefully wait longer than I was supposed to take it.
But you could also.
Would they give you like a 92% of the regular amount because you had less body to distribute it through?
It's about 85.
Okay. It's 85?
Yeah. How much do you weigh without?
When it's because when you were saying it's like heroin, I mean, my understanding is that's what killed Mitch. Like when he stopped doing heroin, he basically just switched to doing the pills.
Well, a lot of times when guys stop taking it, they go back and they take it again one night, but they take what they used to take.
Yes.
That tolerance buildup thing.
Do you guys know who Dr. Carl Hart is? He's a black guy. He's a doctor that's devoted his career to recreational drugs.
Why is his race relevant?
Just in case you know, like if you recognize him.
Oh, okay.
All right. But he.
I think this is the third time or fourth time we've zinged Neil just a little bit for an unnecessary.
I don't care about race.
No, it's
but he
I know, but it's fun to tease you like you do.
Can you say people of real quick?
What?
Can you say the people of real quick?
No.
Just say, okay. I was going to have him re-edit that.
I
don't care about
no
people of
part
race.
in this.
So, but Dr. Carl Hart, he uses heroin, but he uses it responsibly. And he was saying you can responsibly use heroin. He just controls how much he takes and how often he takes it, and his argument is if you eliminate the war on drugs and you regulate these drugs, people can be taught to use them responsibly and safely. And you also eliminate the issues with like fentanyl being in oxycodone tablets and stuff like that, where people think they're getting, however many milligrams of oxycodone, they get a lethal dose of fentanyl. Like my cousin, my friend's daughter. And 100,000 young people died last year in the U.S. from fentanyl from that reason. And my question is that the drug cartels doing that because it seems like it's hurting their customer base?
It's not,
or is it
accidental? It's not intentional. They just cut fentanyl in the same place that they cut
Yeah,
coke.
sure. But also,
they don't clean the lab.
or is nothing being done about it because it's solving a problem for the government? Because there's 100,000+ homeless people in the country that are, and lots of them are dying from fentanyl overdoses too.
Has anybody looked into coffin makers? I mean, they could really be behind a lot of this. COVID, this, you know what I'm saying? Because that's
Big coffin.
I mean, it is unusual,
coffin,
right? I mean,
yeah.
big
No,
coffin.
look, the fentanyl thing it's an incredibly easy problem to solve.
Or maybe the government's
The
using
drug
that
cartels just have to clean their labs between cuts. I mean, I know that sounds stupid, but the reason there's fentanyl in coke is because they cut fentanyl in the same room and then they cut the coke in the same room, and they're not putting fentanyl into coke to give away free drugs.
So these guys are irresponsible?
It's not they're trying to. Their coke dealers aren't adding fentanyl to their cut coke, so it'll seem, because they don't have to. Like that's not what you cut coke with. It's not intentional.
But also,
it is literally cross contamination, and it's killing all these people, and it's just because of honestly irresponsible drug dealers.
and also, you're not gonna, if you want to solve that problem, you just stop the war on drugs.
By the way, addicts.
And then you eliminate all the cartels.
But
too.
also,
Drug addicts cannot use drugs responsibly. They just can't.
Well, they need help. They
Addicts
don't need to
use
be
drugs
criminalized for using
I
drugs.
agree.
And they also need to be helped.
But you
instead
saying,
of throwing them in prison, you should help them.
I agree. But
Yeah.
you saying that like you can teach people to use drugs responsibly, you maybe can't. But the
Well, a lot of
addicts
people
you're
you
never
can.
going to teach to
Right.
do drugs
No, with
responsibly.
the addicts it's different. They need some type of a program to help them recover. A recovery program, and maybe that's a lifetime program. But if they go to prison, we're still spending the same amount of money on them. Retool the prisons. A prison should be a functional society for dysfunctional people.
So prisons should be more like rehab centers.
Yes, absolutely,
Where they okay.
absolutely, because those are broken humans. And the victim shouldn't be the person that's making that decision. If you hurt my family, I might kill you. But
Imagine how much money we could make if you could combine the prison industry and the rehab industry.
But
the rehab
keep in
industry
mind
is
that
raking it in.
yes, there are always consequences to these sort of changes that we should keep in mind. Yes, there should be drug treatment for people in prison, but at what point are we going to 25 years from now, when we start adopting all this, where instead of putting them in a jail cell, we put them in a rehab facility where we teach them to live responsible?
oh, you mean when things were way
lives?
better, when people's lives
But
are way
no,
better?
in 25 years, the problem's going to be the government's been reprogramming people's brains, and they're putting these people in these cages, and it's the next conspiracy theory.
Dude, it's
always
all
grows
about
from the
money.
list.
It's all about money and control, and even in
No,
legal
it's about
drugs,
stupid
you look
people writing laws.
you look
that
at
rich
look at how
people
the
manipulate
look at
to
how
make
the,
money.
Look at how the government deals with issues, though. You look at opioids. Well, they take hydrocodone and they put Tylenol in it. So if you take too much of it, it'll cause liver failure. It'll kill you. That's a really fucked up policy. That makes no sense. Like,
Except for people that Percocet, like my dad, Percocet was the only medication that he could take that for a long time that actually worked for him.
yeah, that's fine.
So for him, again, that was, I mean, all
But you
Percocet
don't-
is
you don't make it
Vicodin and
deadly,
Tylenol mixed
though.
together.
How much of your dad's Percocet did you steal?
I know, I never
She
met
say it
this.
like he was in
But no,
trouble
that's the
now.
thing. When my dad, because my dad went through a stretch where he actually had to detox, he stopped taking Percocet and he switched over to Oxys, and that was, Vicodin, and that was when he started actually having an issue.
having issues, yeah.
So again, I understand, yes, it's very bad for your body to mix Tylenol and those things together.
Yeah.
But as an actual way of pain management, there were a lot of people that were doing that, they were using it responsibly. They weren't developing liver damage.
Sure.
And then, this is bad for your liver, so you need to just start taking hydrocodone. And then that, because the way tolerances build up, now you need oxy, now you need more.
Well,
So are you scared when you're going to do this heroin the first time? Like now you guys have locked in. We got the dealer. We're going to do it. How old are you at this time?
First time, 19? Yeah, I
Okay.
think 19.
So is it like,
No, I was still 18.
and drugs were really illegal then, you know what I mean?
Drugs have never been illegal.
But I mean, it's like I grew up in an era where if you were going to smoke pot, you had to go out behind a dumpster or you know what I mean? You had to go meet some guy in a parking lot to get it. You know what I mean? Now it's like you can't even walk into the open mic without everybody, who's not smoking weed, So
Right.
it's more, so are you go get the heroin from some seedy location, I assume.
Right.
Right? listen, I want you to walk me through that. I'm very interested.
All right, so you want the full breakdown?
Yes.
Okay, so I was hanging out with the dude that smoked crack. I was like, dude, so can you get heroin? He said, yeah. And then so we get it, and then he introduced me a couple of guys that actually do a lot of heroin. And because he's like, I don't want you to fuck this up, all right? I was like, all right, good. Like, yeah, this is the way to do this. And so I hung out with those dudes when they did it, and I watched them be all fucked up. And I was like, you just look like you went to sleep. And they were like, no, bro, you don't understand. I was like, seriously, you just laid on the floor. I was like, how good could that be? And like, well, I'm not trying to. Nobody was pressuring me. Nobody pressures you to do heroin.
There's no peer pressure. There's no heroin peer pressure.
They were all like, you sure you want to do this, bro? Like,
because they know. They're trying to talk
you
out of it.
Yeah. And so I was like, yeah, I want to try it. And so I tried it, and it was fucking amazing. I mean, all I did was lay on the floor for 6 hours, but it was the best 6 hours.
So anytime he disagrees with us on something, we're going to play that clip right before the disagreement.
Yeah.
So we can ruin your credibility.
Why? Because I tried a drug like almost everybody tries drugs.
So you go,
but you liked it though.
Can you?
Everybody likes heroin. Nobody doesn't. If you've done heroin, nobody says, "Oh, that's a bad high."
There's no bad heroin.
You're
stories.
never gonna. It's
I'm
not
kidding,
like acid.
man.
People have bad trips. People have bad experiences when they do too much cocaine and they get mad and they punch. Nobody, when they're on heroin, hurts anybody. Now, they might hurt somebody when they're off because they're a junkie and they need to get more and they're trying to get another fix. That's when they go out and do horrible things. But when you're actually on the heroin, you're not fucking with anybody.
Yeah, I think
you're not driving a car. I promise you, nobody on heroin is driving around in a car getting in a car wreck.
I've actually written a story in the news about someone who did it and then crashed into a
Not if he was injecting it. He may have snorted. Again, it's the same thing with like taking Vicodin.
Unless you pass out.
And again, to clarify, no one is injecting heroin and driving a car.
Oh, I see. Yeah.
You are not physically capable of getting to a car.
I feel like
if you are.
I did find a guy. I was in Florida. Me and a friend had just got into Florida, and we were about to go to the hotel. We stopped at this gas station to get some snacks and stuff before we went to the hotel. And when we pulled out of the gas station, there was a little Honda Civic at a stop sign and had black tinted windows. It was just sitting there. We were behind it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't going anywhere. And,
right, because he was on heroin. He's not driving.
And then we just kind of went around it, and I was like, and I saw a little bit of smoke coming out from under the hood of the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, hey, I think something may be wrong there. And so we circled back around and then went up to the car and very apprehensively knocked on the window. It was this black tinted window, and nobody responded. I looked in the front window and I could just see just white smoke in the car.
Yeah.
And I was like, whoa. And I just kind of opened the door and smoke billowed out, and there's some dude slumped over his console in the middle of the car. And there's like a love song playing on the radio.
Sade.
And
I just Cheech and Chong. You open the door and the smoke pours out.
Me and my friend just grabbed the dude and drug him out of the car and laid him down on the ground, and he wasn't breathing. He was like blue, and my friend started doing chest compressions on him, and I called 911, and we got him to start breathing. I mean, like he was like barely breathing, but he was breathing like it was like a snoring type breathing, and it looked like a heroin overdose. But yeah, he wasn't going anywhere.
Look, I am not saying no one has ever done heroin and attempted to drive a car.
But don't some heroin
they didn't
addicts,
make it far.
Don't some heroin addicts like that are in bands or like I'm going back to Mitch. These guys don't you develop a tolerance to a certain amount that then you can go go perform on heroin.
No, Mitch wasn't on heroin.
Now a lot of musicians perform on heroin.
Okay, there
right,
you go.
but no, they're
not shooting it up. They're like snorting it or something.
You may just like you can take a handful of Vicodin and you can go do a show. You can snort. You can do a bump. You can do a couple of bumps of heroin and do a show. You can smoke a fucking giant blunt and go do a show. If you're injecting heroin while you're under the full effects of the heroin, you're not attempting to do stand-up.
Okay, so were you worried
don't care.
Were you worried about doing too much, or were you like
no?
There was none of that. Like
no.
I mean, in it?
Well, back then it wasn't contaminated with fentanyl and stuff.
Yeah. No, I made sure. That's honestly the reason why. Now, if I'm at a party, because I don't have anything against coke, but now if I'm at a party and somebody's like, "You want to do a bump?" I just don't.
Because you might die.
Because it might be Like if like my wife and I are heading to the mountains to party for 3 days or whatever, just her and I, then I'll get some test strips or whatever. But
yeah, I have no interest in coke or heroin. By the way,
it's fun.
But I don't have a problem with people that do it. I don't
So
care.
how long does it take to like you inject it into your hand or whatever you did? And that's probably the worst part of it is figuring out how to inject it. And then once you inject
I mean, I had help. I had, someone that knew what they were doing, like help, because we tried to do it here and it didn't work. And then so he did it there. I mean, it's pretty instantaneous.
Like he's while he's got the thing in, you're like, oh.
Have you had a surgery before?
I was able to crawl up into the top bunk of a bunk bed from the time it was done to get up there. And that was it. I was just there for almost 6 hours.
How long does it last?
About 6 hours.
About. I may have the last little bit of that. I may have just been asleep.
Oh yeah.
But yeah. I mean, it's amazing.
It sounds like a nap.
I didn't realize it lasted that long.
It's just an incredible. And again, like I said,
it's euphoric, right?
And it's just absolute pure euphoria.
I don't even know. What do you mean by that? How would you describe?
Exactly.
Have you ever taken opiates for pain? Like, have you ever had a surgery or anything? Because those do feel amazing. Like when I had I was taking like 40 milligrams of oxycodone every 4 hours or something. When I got out of the hospital, I was like, this stuff is magical.
I have whatever they give you when you get
wisdom
teeth taken out.
Yeah, that's probably possibly.
Have you imagine remember in your brain the first time you saw your son hit a ball and you realized it was going over the fence?
I didn't realize it was going over, dude. It looked like a pop-up.
Well, what about when you saw it?
Your mind went to the negative. Someone's gonna catch you.
Or when you were a kid,
you're like, damn it, he got under the ball.
Like
again.
You're gonna take heroin and be like, oh no, I'm gonna.
Did you ever hit a home run when you were a kid?
No.
Okay.
I dominated at the cul-de-sac. Right. I was home run king.
Yeah.
Well,
did you ever ask out a girl you thought would never say yes and she said yes?
Every girl that I've ever.
But like you were convinced this girl was going to say no and then she said yes.
I would not ask her.
Okay.
What about an applause break in a big show?
You're on stage and you are absolutely crushing, full vibe.
Let's circle back to that asking that girl out.
Take that feeling, multiply it by almost infinite amounts. That level of just when dopamine is pouring into your brain and you are just as literally as happy, take that and just skyrocket it up. And that is what it feels like to be on heroin.
So do you still think like, I remember doing acid and being like, this is fucking the kaleidoscope of this guy. And then I started to notice other people around like in public. And I was like, oh, I'm just like a babbling drug.
It's going to be totally different than that.
Like, do you have some of that in your head, or is it just everything goes away except euphoria? I don't even know.
It really kind of is. There are thoughts you are thinking about things, but you're not thinking any, and none of it's negative, none of it's bad, nothing. Like, it is just pure joy. It is the happiest feeling. Euphoria is the only way to describe it. It is
so then you slowly come back after the 6 hours, or you wake up and you're like, oh, I'm back to normal, or is it?
Well, no, like there's the after effects, and the next day, because your body's all the dopamine that your body has dumps in all at once. For the next couple of days afterwards, you're fucking
trying to recover.
It's your body is because when just the natural things that cause your body to produce dopamine, there's not enough to.
I was going to ask you about
so
that.
That's what
the
it does.
recovery period was.
Yeah,
but that's part of why people want to do more is because. But again, that doesn't cause the chemical addiction. You have to do it a few times within.
If anything, a
limited period of time.
If you don't do it after, it could probably prevent you from doing it again, right? I'm sure that's pretty miserable. Like that. You probably felt horrible for a couple of days, right?
I mean, but you can also.
So you're 19. You did it at 19.
Oh, that's true.
I think it would be different now.
That's true.
But no. So I mean,
heroin's a young man's game.
Right.
This episode is sponsored by the Sackler family.
I would absolutely honestly, once my kids are all grown, if I would have absolutely no problem being the old guy in the rest home that just fucking spends about 2 weeks on a nice heroin binge and just croaks.
Oh yeah, if you're dying,
what an excellent way to go out.
I have zero desire to ever do it.
I'm with you on that.
Yeah.
If I'm old and in pain and decrepit, give me some drugs.
I mean, you
me
think
all the
about
drugs.
what, like when you see somebody in hospice care, all hospice care is they OD you on
Yeah, you're dying.
opiates. That's all it is. Like it's
General
literally they
exit.
just decide, all right, this person's going to suffer really bad, so we're just gonna like they don't admit that that's what they're doing, but they OD you.
Yeah.
Like it's what they do. And like, dude, like my dad was really, my dad, my grandpa, and they were all very nervous about dying. Weren't excited. My grandma, very religious, but she was still, they knew they were about to die. Soon as they really got it rolling into them, they were fine. It was all smiles. And they all died in a fucking hell of a good mood. I mean, that's exactly the way to go.
Yeah.
I don't know, man.
I don't know, man.
I don't know about that.
Tom wants someone to throw him out of a
I
plane.
mean, all hospice care is aborting grandparents.
That's why I have a joke about.
Yeah,
it.
I know.
That's funny. Yeah, and that's what I mean. Like I have a part of me that's that you almost want my mind there, because I think there's an experience that comes with dying that.
Sure.
That
Yeah.
you could be stunting by being on those things.
But I'm dying. Who gives a shit about some experience?
No, I'm with
there's
you.
a genuine awakenness and an understanding that may come from finally accepting. We spend our lifetimes afraid of death in our heads, even if we don't really recognize it, because that's our brain is like, I'm getting ready to not be. And I think that something will happen where you have that clarity of
you've never like hunted much, have you?
Oh, because they're just living and then they're dead instantly.
It's not just instant; it's abject terror. Nothing dies happily.
No. Yeah.
It's abject terror. It's not. There's not a moment of clarity. It's abject terror.
Well, I mean, the deer also can't communicate like, I know these universal
But
truths.
you can.
Like,
but it's still, they have functioning brains. We're not that genetically different.
Some of the stuff I'm reading right now about.
No, you're right.
About no, death is abject terror.
I think I heard.
It's not necessarily true, dude. Because the people that have had near-death experiences and have come back from those
because they weren't actually dying.
But like what we see is terror, but we don't know what's going on in their head.
Different scenarios here. Like if you're dying and you're in pain, that's one thing. If you're dying and you're just dying of old age and you're not in excruciating pain, you still have
there are people who
you still have your faculties. Then I can understand not wanting to interfere with that and being able to just sort of just fade away.
There are people who have made peace with it.
Yes,
but if you actually if you've ever shot a deer, if you've ever shot a duck, if you've ever shot any living creature and watched the life go out of it,
it's sad.
It is abject terror. You can see it in the eyes. You can see it in the way they're dilated. It is not and again, I've never killed a person, but I've seen people die in car wrecks before. I saw a guy die in front of, when I was delivering pizzas in front of, so like I watched it.
Wait, I want to hear that story.
Abject terror.
Well, I was dying. It wasn't fun.
Yeah.
Although I did relax though.
No, there is. There was
terror. There was terror at first when I saw my leg, because I screamed about 3 or 4 times.
Oh yeah.
And then I was like, all right, you got to calm down. Just don't look at it. Calm down. Look away. Relax so you don't bleed to death. And then when my buddy he got to me and I told him to put a tourniquet on my leg, and he got a belt and put it on my leg.
But you were fighting to stay alive.
About 3 minutes into it, I started to feel really numb, like my whole body was going numb, like my arms and my like extremities, my face, my tongue. It was like all needles,
right.
that
like
a sleep feeling, and I was like, dude, I don't know if I'm gonna make it, man. Just tell my wife I love her and tell my friends and family I love them. And I tried, and he told me to just shut up and keep talking to him, but I was like, I'm serious. Like
that was his thing. Shut up and keep talking to me.
Yeah, it was an intense moment.
Yeah. And he's like, okay, I said shut up.
But it was like in that moment, I thought, oh, this very well might be the end. This might be it. And
that's cool.
And I was just okay. I just felt like this sense of calm, and I was like, all right, well, there's nothing I can do about it. I'm going to try to hold on. But I could feel my consciousness sort of like wavering. And then about a minute after that, I heard the sirens, and then my friend said, hey, dude, I think the bleeding stopped. And I was like, really? And then all of a sudden, I could feel like the feeling come back in my extremities and my face, and I felt my body stabilized. I was like, oh, I'm going to make it.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure
But
there's a what is the
DMT.
DMT is released in your brain. Like they've done science to prove that DMT is released in your brain when your body thinks it's dying. So there is a certain thing that happens. Like I am not.
And if you've had that
experience, I'm not completely saying that there's not a transition. I'm not saying that's. I was over. I'm just saying.
Yeah, because that could be
when you actually watch something that knows it's dying, die.
It's not pleasant.
It's not a beautiful experience. It's
also some of those things. I doubt it knows it's dying. Like, does it know what that?
Well, an animal,
you know, like
probably doesn't know exactly what's happening.
It's just fear because it's
depending on the animal. If it's a higher,
right? But again,
if it's like a dog, it probably knows it's dying. You know,
I mean, it's animals understand what death is.
They're mammals like us.
Like I mean, they understand what death is.
Anthropomorphization is kind of bullshit.
Right.
It's like a way that it's the typical human way of separating ourselves from everything else to not feel bad about all the shit we do. Yeah. And there's a doctor I followed. I can't think of his name. He's the guy that's working on all the regenerative technologies. He's brilliant. He's kind of like combining sciences, and he
white
thinks
guy?
He is white guy. But
Neil's gonna get pissed if we do that. I know y'all are fucking do it.
He discovered that our body is controlled, like our cells work based on electrical signals, and if you can change those electrical signals, you can the electricity in the body is what tells the body what to do and how to react.
Right.
And it instructs the cells on what to do. So if you change the electrical signals in the cells, you can actually make the cells regenerate.
Oh, okay.
But I heard him make that comment too, that anthropomorphization is he doesn't believe in that because he thinks it's just an old way of thinking of separating us from animals. And he said animals most likely have very similar experiences to humans. They're just not as intelligent. You know, it's a lower form of consciousness.
So speaking of not having lower intelligence, just in case we have listeners that don't know what was that word? Anthropomorphology?
Anthropomorphization.
It's just assume that there's going to be people watching that don't know what that is.
We don't care about those people.
No, let's assume I'm watching and I don't know what that means. What does that mean?
It just means that a lot of times it's what Disney does. You know, they
humanize people.
They humanize animals.
Okay.
You know, it's us thinking, well, this thing probably feels the way I do, but actually, it probably does feel the way you do. That's the problem. You know, like there was who was it? Was it Pavlov maybe, or
the guy with the dog? Pavlov made it drool.
Yes.
I don't know if it was Pavlov.
Do you think Pavlov made his dogs wear sweaters?
It was.
Why?
I don't know.
Actually, I don't think it was. I don't think it was.
How many licks does it take to get the center of a Tootsie Pop?
By the way, Neil, when somebody uses the expression, I would give an arm and a leg for that, does that irritate you because they don't really know what that means?
Yeah, it's no.
No? I mean, you know what I mean? Like,
it irritates me when someone tells me to break a leg.
Yes.
I'm like, I already have.
Yeah.
Let's not do that.
All right, we're wrapping this up. This is the end of this episode. It's already we've really talked.